The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavioral loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. Many of us are addicted to cigarettes and other substances. Sugar is also a universal addiction that almost every human is into. Then there are also social addictions, like having to be around other people because alone you feel extremely uncomfortable. Or you might be addicted to isolation, where you only feel comfortable if you're not around people. There are many ways humans get addicted to stuff, and the real mechanics of addictions often get ignored. But the real mechanic of addiction is always a need to escape oneself. If you don't like to be silent alone in a room, you will grab to anything else but to stay in that silence. That's also why meditation is inherently uncomfortable for most people. To just be with your own internal silence is not what people are used to. It is uncomfortable because it confronts you with the existential emptiness of it all. And if you haven't found peace within that existential emptiness, then addictions will always keep having a pull on you, and they will suck you into their own world. Now, the issue with addiction is that just because you love to indulge in something doesn't mean you're directly addicted. I think the real important facet of understanding when you're addicted or not is if you are so immersed in the activity that every other thing starts to not matter to you anymore. Like you're so obsessed about sexuality that all you can think about is sex, for example, and you're not actively moving into the direction long term where your life would benefit from. What is the relationship that you want to develop with the thing? You can ask yourself, do you want to get completely rid of it and never touch it ever again? Or would you like to keep some safe relationship with the thing so that you can still indulge it sometimes? Oftentimes, if you want to have some safe distance with a substance, then it requires you to be a time without it so that you can show that you are able to live without the substance. But most of the time, the real trick to overcoming any addiction is to notice that there is a peace within you that is higher than anything external could give you. The difficulty is that in order to find this peace, you likely must go through a mountain of pain, because all the baggage that is stored in your nervous system and stuff you haven't processed from the past, the stuff you're trying to run away from, will keep fueling the addiction until it's processed. Because you're fighting against two very strong forces. You're both fighting against the force that is trying to give you an out for the pain that you don't want to experience. And then you basically distract yourself also with social media and stuff, so you don't have to actually move through the emotion. But then also you have the force of just your natural dopamine and reward system and the pleasure that you want to get out of the experience. Now, likely, if you want to stop an addiction that you have noticed already that it's actually not that pleasant, that there's a part of you that feels like it is a burden that you carry instead of something you genuinely enjoy. And awareness to how you're not enjoying the actual thing will also leave you away from the addiction. Because noticing the lack of enjoyment of the stuff that used to give you enjoyment is a way that you can move away from whatever was fueling this habit. Now, most people have this fantasy that you could be with the substance in a way that feels safe and that doesn't cause this addictive hedonistic loop. But this is only possible if you have found some internal present peace and have moved through most of the negative aspects. Because once you have moved away from or moved through the negative aspects of your own psyche, then you only have one thing to fight. And it's the pull of the pleasure and the pull of your own dopamine system. And you can technically be not psychologically addicted to a thing, but still have a lot of drive to get the thing because your dopamine reward system has been primed to get to that thing. So the only way to completely remove yourself from the addiction and not having the dopamine reward system activate is to be absolutely abstinent and not engage with the behavior or substance at all. But for most people, this is unrealistic, or they notice that they don't want to actually quit. And as long as you don't want to quit, you won't quit. This means that there's still something that you're gaining from the thing that you cannot get anywhere else. So either you find another way to get this need met, or you change the relationship that you have with the thing. I cannot tell how often in my life I've tried to stop weed for a while, and then while trying to stop, I kept consuming. And the thing with weed for me is that it gives me a lot of pleasure and creativity and a lot of, very blissful experiences. If I'm like 1 month, 2 months sober and then I smoke, then the experience is extremely, extremely blissful for me. And this can keep going on for a while until it becomes a daily habit. And the moment it's a daily habit, it doesn't serve me anymore, so that I naturally want to draw more distance from it. But the only way I could do this in the first place is to have been 1 year sober or six months sober. I think these like long stretches of distance are important for you to recognize that you do not need to be with the thing. But the way you actually accomplish that distance is one day at a time. So whenever I am in this mood where I am feeling quite hedonistic, then it is very crucial to distance myself one day at a time. So I'd be, let me not engage in social media for 1 day, for example. And then from 1 day comes 3 days. And in these 3 days, I'm completely disconnected from all social media or entertainment or any of this kind. And you can see how strong this effect really is on the body and the mind. That, you're just so constantly overwhelmed with stimuli that withdrawing it makes reality seem more crisp. And only then can, when you re-enter into the state of, say, normal social media consumption, enter into something that's more sane. But you kind of require this distance, even if it's just 1 day. And from there, you can find yourself in your natural state. Like, how do you actually behave and how aware are you when there's nothing to do? And the important part to notice is that your entire dopamine reward system is an architecture that is very, very ancient. So the entire mindset of humanity wanting to survive and acquire resources in order to live a healthy and good life is packed into your dopamine system, and it activates through smoking, substances, social media, hanging out with people, not hanging out with people. Any sort of habit that gives you this kind of feeling of comfort is a pattern that basically feeds in on itself through the dopamine reward system. And this is where there used to be this idea of dopamine detox, where you starve this reward system in order to not be so obsessed about these instant gratification things. And it does work because you do desensitize yourself from this craving for a reward. The thing is that you cannot really detox from dopamine because dopamine is, first of all, not a toxin, and it's also what makes my arm move. It is very essential for everything that drives any sort of movement in the body. So what you kind of have to do is you have to recognize that your desire for a thing often is not a sincere desire, but just a dopamine reward system being activated by external stimuli. And the easiest way to get rid of the habit is to remove the external stimuli. And this is what I'd always advise. Like, if you have problems not eating sugar, the real solution is to not have sugar in the house. And this doesn't mean that you can never have sugar in the house, because if this was how you dealt with all your impulses, then you will get addicted to something sooner rather than later, as we all have these phones in our pockets all the time that have a wide variety of hedonistic abilities. So sooner or later, you must be able to withhold the need to enact a desire, even when you have the thing available. But I wouldn't go so quick. Like, most of the times in my life, now I can do it with relative success, but most of the time in my life, where I wanted to remove myself from a bad habit or a substance, and I kind of still kept it around, it failed. And it required way more understanding of myself and way more patience and way more willpower and way more structure to be able to have other things around while not completely falling into this hedonistic loop. Now, I also think it is very important to note to never judge yourself, even if you're stuck in a sort of addiction loop, because the judgment will make it 100 times more difficult to get out of it. And to not judge yourself doesn't mean to suppress the judgment, but to acknowledge the judgment, look at it, move through it, and understand that it is a normal part of your human architecture to be, very driven by dopamine. It's just what we do. As long as you have the suffering component there that tries to use these dopamine reward pathways in order to not engage with your negative experience, then it's very difficult to have any sort of ability to manage the use around your own behaviors. Because now the pain is so hard that the addictive loops are the only escape. So that's why the only way out of it is to move into the difficult hardness on purpose, which boils down to the main point of almost all of my videos, which is you have to feel your emotions. You have to sense your experience. There's no other way around that. And sometimes we are kind of attached to certain concepts of who we are or what we're supposed to be. And then from there, a lot of shame and this stuff comes up. And sometimes it's even unconscious or stuff that you're not actually aware of. And I find it very useful to reflect and journal and really think through the stuff that your mind is dealing with to understand, where is this need coming from? Is it a sincere desire that I have to explore reality in this way? Or is it a sort of neediness that if I don't sleep with other people, I feel like I am worthless? Because the difficulty in all of the stuff is to not pathologize anything. You have absolute freedom to do whatever you want in your life. And I mean this literally. There's no real moral loading between watching pornography or taking substances or being around with friends or isolating yourself for 10 years. The fact is that you can do whatever you truly want to do. There's nobody there to judge you for it. You have the power to choose your own life, even if it might look very weird for other people. But this power is only true if you actually are in power and in control of your own body, when you can sense an impulse and not let this impulse control you. And this is where real deep spiritual practice starts. And there I have to say, I am clearly not an enlightened master, definitely not. My own productivity has increased so much over the last 5 years, and my ability to withhold immediate impulses and to fall into these addictive loops has drastically changed, since the suffering component isn't there to make me want to escape to things. But I still love hedonism. I still love substances. I still love being around people as much as I love being alone and isolated. I get a lot of pleasure out of almost all aspects of my life. And I don't sense that things are like forcing me or controlling me in some like external way. But I do notice that there are clearly habits that I can improve and stuff that I can be more conscious of. And it is a relationship with me and the external world, and to figure out, where does my healthy baseline lie and how do I want to keep developing that? I find myself in this odd spot where I think that as like a factual matter, I'm more productive than I ever have been in my entire life. And I have more impulse control than I ever have had in my entire life. But if I compare myself to somebody who has studied or like who has meditated for thousands of hours, or like Buddhist masters or other people who actively have practiced discipline for a very long time, I still see myself as a beginner. I can do a 1 hour meditation, and I can do a 1 hour meditation 5 days in a row. But the moment I try to do a 1 hour meditation 30 days in a row, it does become quite difficult, and I know that my mind starts to put up excuses. The same is also somewhat true with weed, as my relationship with weed has since forever been more a positive one than a negative one. And it's precisely because of how good it makes me feel that, the pull for the positive aspect is very, very strong in me. There are videos on this channel where I report about my 1 year weed break, for example. And in the meantime, I also did a 6-month weed break. But whenever I have these long stretches of sobriety, I do enjoy it a lot, and I do feel very good sober. Like, I feel like I truly don't need anything. But I would lie to you if I'd say that the pleasures of life that exist out there, and I'm not just talking about substances, it can truly be anything. The pleasures that exist in our around life, they truly are unique, all in their own shape. Like, playing a video game can only be gained as an experience when you play the video game. No amount of spiritual peace or attainment will change the fact that, in order to have the video game experience, you need to play the video game. And this is true for any other thing in this life. The most important part is that you enjoy your human baseline. As long as you enjoy your human baseline and you don't try to flinch or run away from it, then the world is a playground and you can truly do whatever you want to do. If you want to understand how your own architecture has been constructed over your lifetime and how your ego is keeping you stuck in these patterns of addiction and repetitive behavior that make you feel tired about your sense of identity, then check out my ego architecture and the link in the description. This protocol explains how working with me works and why it works. What I want to tell you is that in order to truly feel free, you must be able to see through the lies that your mind tells you. And these lies are very pervasive. Your mind will put on excuses for why something that you want to do is justified. Your mind will put up reasons for why you act in a certain way. And these reasons will always be something that you feel comfortable with. But underneath, there's often a hidden reason for something. A hidden reason why you did something. A hidden reason why you said something. And it is important to not deny this part of yourself, but look deeper into it. What made you act in this way? And what is the desire underneath? Or what is the fear underneath? And then own it. There's this concept of burning off karma, which karma in the real meaning of the word is just cause and effect. Like conditionings that have caused consequences with cause and effect. Now, looking at your own karma, there is a concept that is called burning off karma, which basically means that you have to move through whatever your body desires until it exhausts itself. This goes back to my point that you want to stop something that is still actively fueling you or giving you something. You need to see in which sense it is hurting you more than giving you something and put your attention on that, even if you're still actively indulging in the thing. Because if you don't put your attention on the reason why you want to stop or remove yourself from this behavior in the first place, you won't get there. And you will burn off your karma until you got to the point where you understand what the right relationship it is that you want to have. Personally, I advise to focus most of your attention on your own biological rhythm, like sleeping well, eating well, and exercising. And as tried as it may sound, it makes all of the awareness stuff easier when you are well rested and don't just eat a lot of garbage. Put your minds where you actually want to put it on, and not what social media algorithms are trying to convince you is important to you right now. Once you have mastered this, so much of life opens up.